From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Bimbo Oloyede.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Presidency confirms federal government's concession to ASUU's demand of opening of university's infrastructure revitalization account with the central bank. Federal government approves construction of $200 billion Lekki deep sea port to ease congestion of the country's existing ports. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni visits Nigeria, blames Africa's underdevelopment on poor education. Several mourners turn out for burial of assassinated Hezbollah commander Hassan Lakis in Lebanese town of Baalbek.
And on business news tonight, banks to sell bonds bought from the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON.
Tonight in sports news, doubts over Brazil's readiness to host the 2014 World Cup. FIFA admits failure of stadiums to meet construction deadline.
I'm Linda Kibe from Abuja. Code of Conduct Bureau threatens to prosecute public office holders for defaulting in field verification of the assets.
Nigerians wait anxiously for the resolution of the face-off between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The blame game between both parties continues. Senior Special Assistant to President Jonathan on Public Affairs, Dr. Doyin Okupe, says the federal government has indeed opened a revitalization of universities' infrastructural account with the Central Bank of Nigeria. He announced that the disbursement of the funds will commence as soon as details of amount payable to each of the listed universities are sorted out.
I want to state categorically here that I have personally seen the balance in the account as of today, December 4, and confirmed that it contains the requisite amount, and the disbursement from this account will commence as soon as ongoing administrative processes are sorted out. That is, furnishing of the Accountant General's office with what is due to each university. As soon as all that is sorted out, the payment will commence. We want to affirm that the President and this administration have no credibility issues whatsoever. Mr. President has always honored his words and obligations to the Nigerian people as at when due. Finally, giving due consideration to the 4 items mentioned by ASUU as preconditions for their calling off the strike. And I want to say the 4 items for you to know. 1, ASUU was demanding, the document from ASUU says that provided these 4 items are met up with, that they will be willing to go back to work immediately. Number 1, that the 200 billion agreed as revitalization fund for public universities be deposited in CBN.
Staying on education, the President of Uganda, Mr. Yoweri Museveni, has attributed Africa's underdevelopment to poor human capacity building, which has over the years robbed the continent of quality and skilled human resources. Noting that human resources are critical to the development of any nation, Mr. Museveni pointed out that illiterate but unskilled human capital is a partial achievement. The Ugandan president was addressing what he termed strategic bottlenecks in Africa's progress.
Miles carried the white convocation lecture
It was the 2013 convocation lecture for the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies poised to examine issues surrounding education and national development. These two topics, presently at the front burner in Nigeria, prompted the president of Uganda, a special guest, to talk about Africa and the many reasons it has lagged behind despite the rich resources, especially the human capital. He started out with the risk of a dearth of quality education for a country's populace.
It is only a partial achievement if you have literacy and numeracy, but the children have no skills. It is a partial achievement. Literacy and numeracy must be accompanied by imparting of skills, technical skills. We have seen above how some countries, without natural resources, are able to rely heavily on the human resource to achieve high levels of prosperity and growth.
Another issue that President Museveni highlighted is the incessant crises that have become the aftermath of sectarianism, a matter he said has robbed many African countries, including Nigeria, of peace, adequate national planning and wholesome development, while countries like China and Japan continue to thrive upon the same resources.
It is therefore unforgivable to have people mismanaging our human resources by using sectarianism of religion, tribe, or gender chauvinism. Because when you promote sectarianism, you are attacking the greatest wealth which you have, which is the population.
The Ugandan president, who has ruled this country for over 2 decades, also said cheap electricity is sine qua non with economic growth and development. This, he said, is one infrastructure that Africa must get right so that its skilled human resources will thrive beyond limits. Omelogo, Nadi Channels Television News.
If all goes according to plan, the results of candidates who sit for the joint matriculation examination will be valid for 3 years. This is because the bill seeking to amend the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board Act to ensure the validity of results and scores obtained by candidates has passed second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, sponsored by Ibrahim Ebo, passed without a debate and has been referred to the House Committee on Education for further legislative input. Now to some cheery news for Lagos State. The federal government has approved the construction of the Lekki deep-sea port, estimated to cost $200 billion. Briefing State House correspondents after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Transport, Senator Idris Umar, explained that the port will put an end to the congestion at the various ports in the country, especially the Apapa port. The federal government is expected to contribute 20% equity. The Lagos State government will contribute 18.5%, while private investors are to contribute 61.85%. The council also approved the award of 9 road contracts at a cost of 15.716 billion naira, which the Minister of State for Works, Ambassador Bashir Yuguda, said is to open up the country and ensure the growth of the agricultural sector.
Upon the expiration of the concession period of 45 years, because the concession period is 45 years, the entire project or the port will revert automatically to the federal government. The port is expected to cover an area of 90 hectares, however, with plans for expansion. The physical and indeed characteristics of the port would include a length of breakwaters of 1,500 meters. The main keyword will be 1,575 meters with a channel length of 6 kilometers, which is going to be dredged by the SPV, and then a final width of the channel leading to the port of 200 meters.
With the infrastructure, we believe we can open up the country. We believe we can open up all the corridors of economy in the country, especially in the area of agriculture, because most of these roads cross across a lot of areas that has to do with agricultural sectors in the country.
Well, good times for Lagos indeed, as the Senate has approved the inclusion of the state's $200 million loan facility into the federal government 2012 to 2014 medium-term borrowing plan. The loan, which is coming from the World Bank, is expected to be used for the ultra-modern burn center, cardiac and renal centers at Bagada General Hospital, the 27-kilometer light rail on the Lagos-Badagry Expressway, and completion of the 70 million gallon per day Adeon water facility. Following the approval, the loan will now be part of a $600 million loan facility to the state government being implemented in tranches of $200 million. Considering the report of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, the lawmakers said that Lagos State has the capacity to pay back the loan. The Office of the National Security Advisor and the Nigeria Police may soon begin to enjoy first-line charge from the consolidated account following the support to the proposal in the House of Representatives. The proposal came up during a public hearing on the amendment of the 1999 Constitution organized by the House. The Director of Special Duties in the Office of the National Security Advisor said despite the urgent and important nature of its job, the agency is poorly funded and receives its budgetary allocation late. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, has the report.
Professional bodies, government agencies and interested individuals all gathered for a public hearing on 10 bills seeking to amend different sections of the 1999 Constitution. The chairman of the ad hoc committee declaring the session open said the exercise is geared towards ensuring a better constitution for the country. The first bill considered had to do with simplifying the process of impeaching a president or vice president from office.
In an environment where votes count for little, the National Assembly remains the only viable and acceptable source of changing an unpopular precedent. Congress is of the view that one of the ways of exercising this right is to keep straight and simple the process of impeaching a grossly erring president or vice president.
The bill seeking to include national security agencies and the Nigerian police.
Government bans motherless babies' homes run by non-governmental organizations following the discovery of another baby factory in the capital, Owerri. Well, that's in a moment. Do stay with us.